Okay guys, CarCal here. We're going to talk about calibrating Hondas. These are the Honda targets. You're never going to use all three of these at the same time. You're either going to use this target or these targets, depending on the situation. The targets will tell you which ones are appropriate, and your tablet will tell you which are appropriate as well. So they work very similarly, but there are some differences. So we're going to start with these. So if your tablet and the targets tell you that these are the appropriate targets, then this is how we'll set this up. Anytime we're using these targets, the height on the stand will be 1,500 millimeters, and as it says on the back of the targets, it's going to be 4,000 millimeters from the hub to the device. Not the bumper, the hub to the device. Okay, first thing we want to do is we want to set up the conformation point, and then we want to set up the bumper jig, get it all squared up so we are dead center. All right, we are set up here. Next thing we need to do is we need to figure out our distance. So what I want to do is I want to go back to the back, grab my conformation point. This conformation point is the newest one. The reason you can tell is it actually has these saddles on it, and you'll see a notch here in the middle. So that's how this is set up. So we can measure from either side, okay? But the way we want to set this device up is we want to turn our laser on. I want to move it up a little bit so I can see it. I want to get it right to the center of that hub. Okay, now we're set up. I'm flush to the tire. I'm going to pull this back, turn it off. We don't need the laser anymore. I'm going to go ahead and grab my tape measure. The tape measure is actually set up for the driver's side. Okay, remember the laser actually slides on the tape measure. If we want to do the passenger side, I would pull right here, flip this around. It'll fit on any 1-inch tape measure. Okay, so it'll slide. I want to hold this up to the bulk of this tape measure, and the end will be here. What I want to do is turn this guy on. I'm going to place this right in this slot. It will run across these saddles, and it'll hold it square to the car so we're not off at weird angles. We're getting an accurate measurement. I can even take my fingers and push down. As I pull out here, get to the bumper jig, and as soon as I touch this bumper jig, that is my distance. We are right at 1,000 millimeters on this vehicle. So the targets tell us they want 4,000 millimeters from here to the target. So we now know that this is 1,000 millimeters from here to here. So now we can subtract the 1,000 from the 4,000. We need to be 3,000 millimeters from the vehicle. If we do have the older device, so if you have a 3.0 but it doesn't have these, then what we can do is we can push this. So now the edge of this rail right here, this bar, is right on that hub. And when I do that, I can take the tape measure, place it on the outside, hold it in place. This other guide will help reassure that we're square to the vehicle. Pull it out. As soon as we touch that bumper jig, right at 1,000 millimeters. Now, if we don't have the 3.0, if we don't have the conformation point, this can also be done by either laying the tape measure on the ground and pulling it out. Quite often, what I do is I take my finger, my arms are long enough, I just put my finger right on this hub, and I hold the tape measure with my finger right to the center of the hub. Then, I can pull out as soon as we touch that bumper jig. We are right at 1,000 millimeters. They all work the same way. So those are your different options as far as measuring from the hub to the bumper, and then again we'll subtract. So now, make sure our laser's on. Put this back in its resting place. I want to get somewhat lined up. Remember now, we're 4,000 from the hub. So when I get everything set here, we need to be 3,000 millimeters from the bumper. We are set up. This is right at 3,000 millimeters. Shut this guy off. The height on the target, say 1,500 millimeters high. Go to my 1,500 millimeters high. These targets are now set up. I need to shut off my device, my laser, and this car is ready to calibrate. Do remember, these targets here, we're not going to shift anything. This target is set up at 630 millimeters from the center. This target is also set up from 630 millimeters from the center. So that's how these targets work. This is pretty simple. Don't usually have any problems with these targets. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, if we're using the circle target, all right, this really is a target that nobody likes. Okay, the thing about this target here, we'll do the same measurement from the hub to the bumper to find that distance. This actually asks for 6,000 millimeters from the hub. So this will be your furthest target out. So what I want to do here, after I measure from the hub to the bumper, I've got my 1,000 millimeters. Now I come out here. This is going to be by far the furthest you'll ever be away from the vehicle on a calibration. And we're right at 5,000 millimeters right there. Okay, so this is 5,000 millimeters from the bumper, which is 6,000 millimeters from the hub. So we're all set up here. Now, target will tell you we need to go 950 high. That is right there, 950 high. Okay, with this target, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to shoot right here, just like we would do with the Toyota or a Subaru, or sorry, a Toyota or Lexus. One shot right here. The tablet will tell you now, please shift. What it wants you to do is it wants you to shift to the driver's side to 1,200 millimeters. In order to get to our 1,200 millimeters, we need to take this extension arm. It will slide right in here. Right, so after that first calibration, we will shift to 1,200 millimeters. The second calibration will be done here, calibrate. Then we will need to install the other extension arm. Once we're done here, we'll shift over here to 1,200 millimeters. The third calibration will be done. Now your static part of this calibration is complete. Anytime we use this target, it'll be a dual calibration. The next step, and the tablet will talk you through this, will be to drive the vehicle for the dynamic part of the calibration. The better you're set up here, the more centered you are, the better the lighting on the targets, the quicker the dynamic calibration will go through. So make sure you're pretty precise here. If there's going to be a bracket issue, if certain glasses, some of your standard glasses, the bracket might not be on straight enough to actually be able to make this happen. So if there is going to be a bracket problem on a windshield, it's probably going to be with this target, just because we're so far out. So kind of keep that in mind. If you contact any of the big tablet dealers, Launch or Autel or Pilkington or Opti-Aim, they're going to tell you if you're not using the OEM glass, the chances of this working are 50-50. So they really recommend you use the more expensive glass, and that hopefully reassures that bracket is in its place. Pretty straightforward, but again, dual calibration, keep that in mind.